Hi guys, I'm going to explain to you number 8 of the worksheet that we did in class, and this was on page 15 of the textbook. So in here what they're asking is to use prime factorization to identify 4 common factors and 4 common multiples of each pair of numbers. So let's do this. We have this, let me put this to one side so we can start working. Okay, so in here, let's do part A. They are already giving us the factors, the prime factors for each one of them. So basically what we need to do is to identify which of the factors are in common. For example, in A, we have two numbers, 468 and 396. And the factors for both of them are pretty well identified. So I'm going to write them again because, well, I want to see this better. 468 equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 13. And then we have 396. Sorry for my numbers. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 11. So here you can see factors in common. So I'm going to pick a different color so I can show you what am I going to do. Okay, so they have these two in common. They have these two in common. When I say in common, is that both numbers has that factor in common, okay? Have the same number in common. So, okay, they have 1, 3, they have another 3, and okay, this number has 1, 13, and this one 11, but they're just, the 13 is just in here, and the 11 is just in here. So basically, they have in common all of this. So 1, 2, another 2, 1, 3, and another 3. So this would be the GCF. GCF. What is the GCF? Greatest common factor. In another books, you're going to find the GCF is the same as HCF. In this case, what it means, HCF would be highest common factor. It's basically the same thing, and it's the most numbers that they have in common. As you can see, they have 4 numbers in common. So you don't have to write like 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3. I mean, you don't have to repeat them because you're just telling me the numbers that they have in common. So, okay, I have 1, 2, and 1, 2 here. So 2 is a number that is repeated in both of them. So I write 2. Another 2. 3 is a number that they have in common. So another 3 and another 3. So that is a GCF. In numbers, the GCF would be 2 times 2, 4, times 3, 12, and times 3, 36. Let me write it here. Here. So now we have our first factor. And why do I say our first factor? Because they're asking us for 4 common factors. 4 of them, okay? So this would be the first, which happens to be the highest common factor, the greatest common factor. But we can find factors that are not the greatest, they are just small factors. Let me take this away. There you go. So, as I was saying, you have the greatest common factor, but these two numbers can have more factors in common. So as you can see here, 2 is a factor that they have in common. It's just the 2. Or maybe 4 is another factor that they have in common. Or maybe 2 and 3, which is 6. So 6 is another factor that they have in common. So you already have the GCF, which is 36, but you can say that 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 2 is another factor they have in common, or 3 to the power of 2, or you can say 2 times 3, which is 6, is another factor they have in common. So my point is, okay, you have the GCF, but GCF is just one factor that those two numbers have in common. The thing is, okay, it's the greatest number that they have in common, is the greatest factor. But you can have more numbers less than the greatest. So those numbers can be 2 to the power of 2, 3 to the power of 2, 2 times 3, or just 2 or 3. They are also factors, 2, 3, okay? And when we're done with the factors, we're going to find the multiples. The easiest way to find multiples with this type of numbers, and I mean this type of numbers as big numbers that you don't see them like right away. And here we have 468 and 396. So you have the formula there I wrote on the board, and if you haven't written that on your notebooks, you should, because that formula is that you have to multiply the GCF times the numbers they don't have in common. That would be equals the LCM, least common multiple. Again, here they're asking me for 4 common multiples. So the least common multiple is just one of them, one of all the possible multiples that they can have. So if we use the formula, the GCF in this case, let me use now blue. The GCF we know already is 36, and the numbers they don't have in common are 13 and 11. So I'm going to multiply 36, wait a second, times, where am I here, times 11 times 13, and that will give me my least common multiple, which will be the same as 5,148. Okay, I moved things again a little bit so I can have more space to write on. So again, same explanation with the GCF. This is the least common multiple. This, what is the meaning of this? It means that if you multiply 468 times, I don't know how many times, and then you multiply 396, you're gonna get to a point where both of them, I mean with different multiples, are going to give you this. Remember that multiples is when you multiply times 1, times 2. It's like you were doing the table for 468 and the table of multiplication for 396 until you get to this number. So this is the first multiple they have in common. Multiples are when you multiply the number times another one. So therefore, multiples are greater or higher numbers than factors are, okay? So they're asking us for 4 common multiples. So this is the first. So to find the next one is as easy as you multiply this times 2. And why is that? Because it means that in this number, it's like they meet. So they're gonna meet again times 2, they're gonna meet again times 3. So to find the next factors, you just have to multiply 5,148 times 2, 5,148 times 3, and so on, okay? And that way you find more than one factor. How do you know that this one, multiples. How do you know that this multiple is the least? Well, it's the least because it's the formula. You use the formula. So this is the first number where the multiples are going to be common, okay? So this is basically it. I hope this helps. I know I can give more explanations about this, but so far this is the first video I'm doing for this school year, and I had forgotten a little bit about this program that I'm using, so I hope to use this every week because this is a great tool for us to communicate, and it's a great tool for you to have my explanation all the time with you. Okay, so please, if you have questions, you can comment on Classroom. So thank you, bye.